Crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and welcome to another Free Play Friday, where we always do something different, a different technique, a different card, a different box. So this is what we're going to make today. We're making the clamshell box. I've got like a belly band ribbon around this one, so I'm just going to pull this off. Hey, Penny and Jeannie. And then it opens like a clamshell from either side to reveal a box inside. Super cute. And then I made this second one that also has like a belly band to keep it closed. That's this ribbon. Hi, Sharon. So I'm going to take the ribbon off and show you guys that this is the same kind of box. The only difference is, and I'll try to show you guys how I did this one too. Bear with me on the measurements because I kind of made this on the fly for the decorating part, not the box part. I made this one pretty snug. There we go. I do like the way this one turned out, even though I used crazy fun color and patterns. It turned out really cute, and if you notice on the side, hey, Dawn and Lisa, Raggedy, Tarita. This one has like a crack in the middle, like there's a little place where you can see, and this one does not. And I'm going to show you how I did that so that you don't see the little crack where it doesn't quite meet. So don't worry about that. We'll work on that after we get the box actually literally created. Then we'll work on putting on the decorations. And I'll give you the measurements that I used for these squares. They're not 100% exact. You can see there's a little bit of white there. It doesn't affect the way the box looks at all. It still looks really cool. But we'll worry about those measurements later on. Hi, Lori. So I'm going to move these off to the side. And we'll do a little bit more talking and stuff. So yay! YouTube has created a way for everyone to see the chat after the video archives. So even if you're not live, you're still going to be able to see the chat. So that way I don't have to keep reiterating what everyone says in the chat, although I may, because there's still people that aren't able to get the chat, and I think it is because they're on an iPhone or just a phone in general. I'm not sure. So there's still things that don't what do I say? Like, depending on whether you're on a PC or a tablet or an iPad or a phone, things don't always look exactly the same or function exactly the same. You guys all know that. So there may be a few of you who still can't see the chat, but that's an upgrade on YouTube, and I love it. Love it, because people have always wanted to be able to see the chat even though they missed it, right? Because it makes you feel like you're watching it live even though you didn't have that chance. This is basically what the card is going to look like after we do some cutting and stuff. And then the pieces on the inside come together to create the box. And then the pieces on the outside, they come together to create the clam part that comes up and down on either side. So I wanted to show you guys that. Specifically because this is an 8.5 by 11. No, 8 1/4. So basically we are going to be cutting off 1/4 of one side. So you need one piece of cardstock that's 8.5 by 11, and the 8.5 side, this shorter side, you're going to cut off a little quarter of a strip, and then we're going to get into doing this kind of stuff. All of the scoring and the folding and all that stuff. And the cutting and... Happy birthday, Krissa. I must have missed that. You get them on your Android phone? That's awesome. Thanks, Norma, for letting us know. That is super helpful when you guys let me know that kind of stuff. So you're going to need a way to cut your paper. This is going to be the best thing to use to do the cutting. And I'll show you why in just a second. And you're going to need a way to make some score marks. So I'm going to be using this one. It's the Martha Stewart. There's a whole bunch of other ones out there. I don't think they sell this one anymore. I tried to find it the other day, and the only one that I could find, they're charging like $75, which is insane. So there's others of them out there that are between $20 and $30 that are just as good. So we do have a new store. It's called jensqualitycrafts.com. The original store is still there. It's called qualitycrafts.com. And then in the upper right hand corner, you click on store. And then all of the categories pop up. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, that's where you'll find all of the Amazon links. I haven't really decided whether or not the new store is going to have Amazon links. Hopefully Penny can put my, what do they call it? They call it like a vanity page where it has your name on it. And then it has everything you recommend. That's even better, really. So Penny, if you have that, if you could put in that link, that would be really helpful. So this one is 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to go ahead and cut 1/4 of an inch off of one side, the short side. So this is the short side. I'm going to cut off this 1/4 on that side, so that it's 8.25. 8.25 by 11. Sorry, I just cut off a little bit too much. Hey, Aunt Beck. I would show you the other side with the measurements, but they are not at all what we're using today, and it would totally confuse you. So don't go by whatever measurements you see on there. It's not how I'm going to walk you through this. You want to make sure that you're cutting off just 1/4 of an inch so that it's 8.25 by 11 to make sure that we have the right size. So I'm just going to go ahead and, yep, I got it right. 8.25 by 11. All right, I'm going to use my cheat sheet and we're going to walk you guys through this. It's 5:05, so we're going to get started. If you're new here, we always start at 5 minutes after the hour. So hence, if you want to come in later to just catch the show, or if you're watching it archived, you can always skip in 5 minutes and we should be beginning. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to score down the long side, this long side here. And we're going to do it at 2 3/4 on each side. Now, just in case I were to make a mistake, it's always best to you could either follow along but have extra paper on hand, or it's always best to watch a tutorial video all the way through so that you have it in your mind how the steps go, and then pull out your supplies and watch it again step by step and then follow along. Totally up to you, but I found that works much better. So in case they make a mistake in the video, I mean, this is live, I might make a mistake, then you can come back and watch it again. And sometimes in my older videos, if you look, I do the steps 2 or 3 different times depending on what people are wanting to do. So I'm not cutting yet, I'm scoring. So I'm going to pull out my scoreboard. So we barely got that whole page in there. There we go. And I said 2 3/4. So we're going down the long side. So 2 3/4. And I'm not going to flip the paper over. I'm going to turn it to the other side. That way all of my score marks are indented the same way. Some of them aren't going up and some of them aren't indented in. And we're going to go over again 2 3/4. All right. Then we are going to turn it this way, the long way across the top. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on your way in, on your way out, or right now if you've got the time. Let's see. 1 3/8 on each side. So 1, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 ticks over. 1 3/8. One 3/8 and 4 1/8. So there's 4 and 1 little tick over. 4 1/8. And then we're going to do these 2 scores again on the other side, but I'm not going to flip my paper. I'm just going to turn it to the other side so that all my score marks are still going the same way. So let's go over that again. 1 3/8. 1, 2, 3. And 4 1/8. So 4 and 1 little bump. 4 1/8. I've made at least 3 or 4 of these and I still run into issues. So I'd like to double and triple check because the first one I made, I had no problem. The second one I made it 3 or 4 times over because I kept making mistakes. It's easy if you follow it step by step and you pay attention to what you're doing. You need to be a little focused. So we should have score lines. I should have probably done a piece of paper so you guys could see. I'm going to go ahead and fold my score lines. You can at this point if you want. It's not going to hurt your project. I'm going to do it just so you guys can see the score lines better. Because in a moment we're going to be doing some cutting. And I want you to be able to see the T that I'm talking about. Because this is where I made my few mistakes, is that I wasn't paying attention to where the T was. And I either overcut or undercut or cut something off. So this is what it looks like. Now you can see there's like squares on the inside. And there's little rectangles down the right and left side if you're holding it this way. Alrighty. So the next thing we're going to do, we are going to cut. I don't know why I have color on here. 2 1/4 and 8 3/4 only to the first score line. No, I'm going to show you it the other way. I'm going to show you cutting the T, and I didn't make notes for that. 2 1/4 and 8 1/4. So let me show you on here. All right. I'm trying to figure out how I want to explain this to you. To me, in my mind, this looks like a T. So let me just start there. When we're cutting this, we're going to be cutting a T right here. Do you see the T? And then on this side, it's an upside down T, and it's on all four corners, if you will. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to slide cut these 4 marks here, the tops of the T's. And it has to go from, all right, I'm going to show you on here. It has to go from not this outside rectangle, just this square. The bottom of the square here and the top, and the bottom of the square here and the top. Does that make sense? We're not cutting all the way through because you never want to cut through this one in the middle. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way. We're gonna do a little cutting now. I hope that this way for me to explain it to you is making sense. So basically we're doing the top and the bottom, even though I have it going this way. Let me explain it to you this way then. The right and the left hand side of the square on the top and the square on the bottom down the center. So here's my center. I've got my square at the top here. So I'm gonna go ahead and line up my score line with my cut line. And if you have this type of trimmer, you'll know exactly what I mean because you'll be able to see right where that score line hits the cut line. And we're going to cut it from, and if I stand up, I can see my little, oops, sorry about that, guys. If I stand up, I can see where my score marks are. I'm going to cut it from the top to the bottom of that square, and I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to lift it up and put it at the top of the bottom square to the bottom of that square. And then slide it over to the next ones. And cut the side of this square from the bottom to the top. Stop, and then lift up, skip that next square. Cut from the bottom of this square to the top of this one. And stop on that score line. So we've got 2 cuts at the top square here. And we've got 2 cuts at the bottom square here. All right, hi Yvette. Hi Freedom. So I hope that was super clear. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to, so we've done these two right here, these two cuts. The next thing we have to do is cut the T. And that's where it was talking about the 2 1/4 and 8 3/4. So I'm going to show you. There's my ruler. 2 3/4 by 8 3/4. No, 2 1/4. I'm sorry. 2 1/4. So here's at 2 1/4. And then if we go all the way across, there's 8 3/4 right here. And that's where those two cut lines are. So that's why it says to cut there. 2 1/4 and 8 3/4. Alrighty. I'm going to put my arm out here so we can do this. First, we're going to do 2 3/4. Whoop. 2 1/4. I'm sorry, I keep saying 3/4. Don't do that. 2 1/4. So there's my 2 1/4. Okay, and we're going to cut the T. So we're only cutting up to this cut line that we already made here to make the T. All right, I hope that makes sense. We're going to cut until we hit that score line and stop. And we should have a T. There's our T. And then all the way down to the bottom. If you have this kind of cutter, you shouldn't have to move it around too much. I'm just readjusting because I lost my placement here. And then you can start on that cut line and cut out to the edge. So then you have a T on this side. Is this totally out of focus for you guys? Because it looks clear on my end today. Okay. So then I'm just going to slide it down. And now we're doing 8 3/4. So I'm going to bring my arm out so that I can get 8 3/4. There's my 8, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut from the side all the way up to where our last cut was. Right here. So we made the T. And then we're going to skip this square. We're going to go down to the next one on our cut line and cut to the edge. And then we should have another little T right like that. Hi, Susan Baker. All right, so if we did the cuts correctly, we should have the base of the card. And then what we have to do next is just glue it together. And if I compare it to this one, it looks exactly the same. Okay, so if we look at it, these two on the sides here in the middle are going to fold up and create the box in the middle, right? And then these two, and I showed this right away in the beginning, so you had kind of an idea what it was going to look like. These are going to fold under and up. And I'm going to give you a tip right here too. These should be able to fold in, so they're kind of like out of the way. But I found when I folded mine in that it caught here and it didn't shut right. So what I did was I put mine on the outside and tucked them under and then put it up, because these can be hidden by the panels. See how those stick out? These can be hidden by the square panels that we're putting on the outside. So you won't see this anyway. Okay, and then this one as well. We're going to tuck those underneath. And then that side will be able to come up. And now do you see how there's just a little bit of a space in between? We're going to cover that up too. I'll show you on the one that we have that's finished. So here's the one that I did not cover it up. You can see that space in between. Still totally cute, right? Doesn't really matter. Still opens up like a clam. Fun little box. And then this is the one that I made it to look like there was not a gap by just cutting the square to cover it and then just cutting right down the middle. So there's still a gap if you look. That little piece of paper is hanging off the edge here. But once they come together and create the box, those papers come together and you can't see that little split anymore. There's no gap. So hopefully I'll be able to give you the correct, I did write them down, hot dog. Sometimes I think I'm going to remember things. I'm sure you guys are just like me, where you walk into the other room and you're like, oh, what did I come in here for? So sometimes I remember to write things down, and other times I'm like, oh, no, I'll remember that, and then I don't. So we are going to go over those. I'm going to give you the measurements for them, and then we're going to decorate one. But I really feel like we should go over the base one more time. So if you guys could just chime in and say yes, you'd like to go walk through cutting this and folding this base one more time before we move on to the decorating, I'd be happy to do that. If you feel like that step-by-step was clear enough, then we'll go ahead and start decorating one. You guys let me know. I'm going to go ahead and pick out some papers. I don't know why I didn't do that before, but I'm just going to pick out a 6x6 paper pack that'll all kind of be matchy-matchy. Ooh, this one's super cute. I'm going to do this one. Super cute. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm assuming that means yes, go over this again. I'm going to take a drink while we're waiting for a few more votes to come in. Okay. So we're going to go over that again. You take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and the 8.5 side is this side. And we're going to cut 1/4 inch off, just 1/4 inch. So we'll go through this a little bit quicker this time. So cut it so that your card stock is 8 1/4 by 11. So all we did was cut off 1/4 from this side, making this 8 1/4 by 11. And then we're going to do some scoring. So first we're going to score the long way. At 2 3/4. 2 3/4. And then we're going to spin it and do 2 3/4 again. We're not going to flip our paper over. We're going to spin it. That way all of our score marks are always they're always indenting down instead of having them, you know, some up and some down. That doesn't work. So 2 3/4. All right. The next thing we're going to do, 2 3/4, the long side, 2 3/4. We did that. Oh, duh, the long side. Sorry, guys. Not the long side up, the long side across. See what I mean? I did so well the first time. I'm going to go ahead and recut my paper. If you don't have extra paper and you just made the same mistake I did, just go ahead and make the box as you normally would, because almost all of the sides are covered up with pattern paper, so it's not going to harm your card. It won't completely wreck it. I've got a lot of paper though, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut mine again. 8 1/4. We're doing the long side. My apologies, guys. The long way. This way. I don't know why I skipped that this time. 2 3/4. There we go. This makes a lot more sense. Spin it around and do 2 3/4 again. And then we're going to put the long side toward the top. And we're going to do 1 3/8. This is where it's tricky. 1, 2, 3. 1 3/8. And 4 1/8. So 4 1/8. And then we're going to spin it around. We're going to do that again. 1 3/8. There's 1, 1, 2, 3. 1 3/8. And 4 1/8. And that's it. And then just like last time, I'm going to go ahead and fold folds so that you can see it. If you want to do this now too, this will help with your folding of your box later on, but you don't have to. And then we're going to cut our T's. So if you look at all the squares, okay, there's squares all in the middle, there's 9 of them, and then there's little rectangles down the side. We're going to cut some T's. They're going to be off kilter T's, right? So basically we're going to cut, if we're going to turn it this way, 3 squares here, right? We're going to cut the sides of this square right here and right here, and then the sides of the bottom square right here and right here. And the way we're going to do that is by using this trimmer. I think this is like the easiest way to do that. So you can line up your score marks with the trimmer's cut line. And then you want to start in at that square. Don't cut this little rectangle. Start in at the mark of the square and cut down until you reach the side of that square. Then lift it up. Skip this one in the middle. Okay, don't cut your middle square. Then start at the top of the bottom square and cut down to the bottom of that square. Do not go all the way off. We're never cutting any of these little rectangles here. And then we're going to flip it around. So right now we've got a cut here and a cut here around these 2 squares. We're going to cut the other side of that same square. So we're going to line up our cut marks. And we're going to cut from the top of that square to the bottom of that square. So we have a little cut mark here. We're going to skip this square in between, and we're going to start at the top of the bottom square to the bottom of the bottom square. So when you're done, you should have 2 cuts on the right and left hand side of the top square and 2 cuts on the right and left hand side of the bottom square. That's it. Now we're going to make cuts that are going to angle into that. Let me pull out the one that we just did so you can see what I'm talking about. So we just did these 2 cuts right here. Now we're going to cut this piece coming in here. And those are at 2 1/4. So we're going to put this sheet in at 2 1/4. There it is. And we're going to slide cut just across that first square and stop. And that should connect to that cut that you did. Skip the square in the middle, and then start at the bottom square and cut out to the edge so that you have another T on this side. You see that? Okay, then we're going to rotate this. We're never flipping it, we're always rotating it. And put that again at 2 1/4. Let me just make sure I'm doing that right. Well, 2 1/4, what we did was we did 2 1/4 and 8 3/4. I think you can do 2 1/4 on each side, but let's go ahead and do it exactly the same way we did before. 8 3/4, correct? Yes. 8 3/4. There it is. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Cut down to the first cut line we did at the top of that square so that they connect here. And then skip the square in between. Don't cut that one. And cut from our cut line at the other square out to the edge so that we've got a little T there. And that's it. And then all we do is glue it together and make it pretty. So now we've got 2 of them actually. Check it out. If we put them together, they should match, which they pretty much do. All right. Here's the paper that I pulled out. This is Jungle Bug Collection. Jungle Bug Collection by Kaisercraft. And it's got some really fun, boys-ish, but yet really cool. Gosh, did you see that one? Look at that. That really caught my eye. I really like that. All kinds of fun stuff, and I love these bugs. Dun, 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 dun. Now we could use even the stuff in the back to decorate it as well. There's a bunch of stuff in here like card things, and they're all like, you just pull them out. You don't have to cut them. They're already perforated, which is super nice. So we could use these to decorate the card, or we could use the cuddle bug. So when I very first started the video, I'm going to go back to that because Raggedy brought up the yours should have a gap when it's folded. It should definitely not be 1/4 of an inch. This is how big your gap should be, which is what? Just a hair bigger than a 1/16 of an inch. So yeah, it's not even an 1/8 of an inch. That tiny bit of a gap. That's all you should have. And I also stated at the beginning of the video that I would show you how to decorate it so that it looks like there's no gap at all. All right, Raggedy, I hope that helps. If you have a 1/4 inch gap, then a measurement is off, or maybe you forgot to cut off the 1/4 of an inch before you started, because this is not 8.5 by 11. This is 8 1/4 by 11. So that's another, maybe that's another idea. But first thing we have to do before we can decorate it is we have to glue it together. So these in the middle here come up, and you can put whatever side, inside or outside, that you want. But I'm going to go ahead and wet glue mine together. And I'm going to glue that one on the outside. So I kind of take a gander at how much overlap there is, and then I try to put a little bit to cover that overlap. And then just glue it together until it touches. Hi, Glenna. Just like that, just so that it holds together. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You can use ATG tape, you can use wet glue, whatever kind of glue is your favorite, it doesn't really matter. Overlap them until they lay straight on the bottom here. Yep, and Penny mentioned in the live chat you can also find stamps and dies at the new store, jensqualitycrafts.com. So that creates our box in the middle. And then these are going to glue, mine are going to glue on the underside. So I'm going to fold mine and put them under so that this closes nicer. If you try to put them on top, I noticed that if your paper's not perfect, sometimes it won't even fold up like that. It gets caught here, and then you have to like do some trimming to save yourself the headache. Since we're going to cover up all this on the outside anyway, I'm going to glue mine underneath. So I'm going to put wet glue all over this panel right here, this little rectangle. Right there, that little flap, and then I'm just going to tuck it underneath. And make sure that's got time to adhere. Hi, Eliza and Joy. Welcome. And then the same on the other side. Put my wet glue here on this rectangle. And then fold it underneath. And I like to just put it down on the table so that I can make sure that the edges match up really well, and I can put my fingers in there. There we go. Score Pal has a nice scoreboard. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing on this side. So I'm going to use the wet glue to put glue on the rectangle and then tuck it so it goes underneath. And that way I can make sure it lines up properly and I can give it a nice press. And the last one. If you wanted to make this whole thing out of double-sided paper, then you wouldn't have to decorate it at all, really. All right. Put my pin in my glue, and then we're going to test it out. Mine has a nice tight fit. Okay, and there's the little crack that you can see. And we're going to cover that up with our paper. So this is not a perfectly square box. I've got a whole bunch of little measurements here. And I'm going to show you with my little trusty wooden ruler here that if we want to do, here we go, top and bottom is 2 7/8 by 3. So if you look here, it's not quite 3, it's 2 7/8 right there. Going across that way, and if you go across this way, hold still, 2 3/4. Oh, 3 by 2 3/4. There we go, 2 3/4. Duh. Okay, here's our 2 3/4, and here's our almost 3, but it's 2 7/8. So if you want to be real particular, where are we? Top and bottom. 2 7/8 by 3 is what I used. Let's go ahead and write this down since we're looking at it. 2 7/8. Yeah, I must have wrote that on the wrong side. Maybe I was sleeping that day. I'm going to get a marker out and write this down for you guys. I want a smaller piece of paper though. So we'll just use this. Here we go. All right, top and bottom. I'm going to use the bottom first because that is held together better. 2 3/4 on the dot. Top and bottom. Oh, I was going to say, why is that not showing up? 2 3/4. Remember I said it wasn't square, so all of our measurements are going to be a little bit different. So let me go over this again. 2 3/4 by, what the hey? Now I'm getting a square. 2 3/4. Where am I? Front and back, top and bottom. 2 7/8. 2 3/4 by. Now I'm getting 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Am I dreaming here? Oh my word. Let's go with it. Even though I didn't get that before. I wonder what I've been dreaming about. All right, well, let's cut it and make sure that it fits right. So 2 3/4. Now I'm going to do matching top and bottom. So let's see if we've got a piece that'll do that. This really cool polka dot one, and I'm going to cut it at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And we're going to test it out. 2 3/4. And we've got a 6 by 6, so we should be able to get 4 of them out of here if we wanted to. 2 3/4. There's one. Whoops! Jumped out of my hand. One more. 2 3/4. Okay, let's check it out. See, it's slightly off. Just slightly, just like before. Might be a tiny little white edge. That's the top. This is the bottom. That'll work. That'll work. Okay. So let's go ahead and glue these down. Then I'll show you what I'm talking about. That we might want to do the cut down the middle. If you want to, this way we're going to do, right now, we're going to cover up that space in the middle. So you put glue all over the one on the bottom. That one won't matter. I like wet glue because then you can slide it around a little bit if you didn't get it perfect. That looks really good. So that's the bottom. 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I don't know what I was what I was drinking. You know what it is that I don't drink Diet Mountain Dew anymore. I've lost it. This one is 3. This one is 3 by 2 3/4. It's a different size box. How much you want to bet, guys, that when I did this box, I didn't cut off the 1/4 of an inch? I bet that's what I did. But anyway, the way we're doing it now is it's gonna be the same. It's gonna work out to be the same thing. So I'm gonna put glue on most of it. Do you see where the little line is right here? So I'm gonna pretend there's a line here, and I'm gonna put glue on each side. Hopefully close to the edges so that this doesn't peel up. I'll leave a little space in the middle and then glue it down. And the reason being is because we want to pretend like there's no mark here. So this is what I did next. My little sharp scissors out. I just went and found the little hole here. Right there was there's that little space. And put my scissors in there because that's the middle. And I just cut as straight as I could straight across here. Okay? So that way, when you open and shut it, it's going to look like there's no gap there because it's going to come back together. Right? Oh man, this is real crafting right here. Real crafting. Okay. So now we've got to decide, how do we want to do our sides? Do we want to do like these two sides the same as these two sides, which is what I'm thinking. I kind of did on the other one. I want to put a little bit of that green, like grassy stuff. I just think that's really cool. Not that one. Oh, this would look neat. Make it look like there's grass coming up the side. Let's try that. So if I'm going to use that, I'm going to have to make sure I do some fancy scoring here. Let's go ahead and measure just to make darn sure that we got our measurements right, because I hate to give it to you the wrong way. So if it opens here and this is the gap, I'm going to say that this is the front and this is the back. So we're doing the front and the back side right now. So I'm going to measure it, and I am getting 2 7/8. It's not quite 3, 2 7/8. So let me write that down. Front and back, 2 7/8. Hi, Janet. That's all right if you're late. You can watch it later. Archived. And the chat will be there by 2 3/4. Oops, I kind of bumped that. 2 3/4. Okay. I knew some of these were not perfectly square. Okay, so the 2 7/8 is across. So I'm going to do 2 7/8 across this way. Because I want this grass to be at the bottom. So 2 7/8, and then I'm going to do another 2 7/8. So I've got one coming across the bottom here. I want this to show, so I'm going to flip it over. So I'm cutting on this side, so that part will be included. And I'm going to do 2 7/8 on this side. And I won't need that strip. And then we said it was 2 3/4 inch high. 2 3/4. All right. 2 3/4. I want to make sure that I don't cut that off. 2 3/4. Oh, good, I cut it the right way. It's gonna match. All right, and then this one, 2 3/4. Okay. So let's go ahead and glue these on. We're going to do the same thing with this. This is how we're going to get it to look like there's no gap. So we're going to go ahead and add the glue, covering most of it. And if you put glue over the gap, that's not a big deal. You just wipe it off with your finger after you cut it. Because it's a gap, there's nothing for the glue to stick to anyways. So we're going to glue it down. And mine seems to be not quite cut straight, so I'm just going to cut this little piece off. I don't know if you've ever noticed from making cards a lot, is that paper is never exact. Very rarely do you get something super duper exact. And now if you look under this little part right there, you can see where that gap is. So that's exactly where I'm going to put my scissor. And then I'm going to cut up as straight as I can. All right. And then when I open it, and then I shut it back, that paper will meet and you won't see the gap. I use Aleene's tacky, regular tacky glue. Aleene's tacky. That's what's in here. Not turbo tacky, not tack it over and over, just the regular gold bottle Aleene's tacky glue. And I'm going to put it on the other side because those sides match. You can make these any way you want, guys. You can make them shabby chic. You can make them for a kid. You can make them for an adult. You can make them for a birthday. Make sure I'm doing my bottom and my top the right way. And again, my paper is just slightly off from my box, so I'm just going to do a teeny tiny trim. You don't even have to, but I want to. There we go. And after we do that, we're going to find where that gap is. Whichever way is easiest for you to find where your gap is. Yeah, that's my gap right there. And then cut it as straight as you can. Oh, mine didn't quite stick. There we go. That looks really cool. I love the way that grass is coming up the side. What else do we want to put on the sides? Some more grass. Oh gosh, look at those bright leaves. That would look super cool. I want to do that. Oh my gosh, we could do that. Do that stripe too, couldn't we? You know what? I'm going to use these leaves. I'm going to cut out a couple of them and use them on the top. And I'm going to put these stripes down the side. So better do one more set of measurements here to make sure we don't have them all kittywampus. We did the top, bottom, front, and back, and now we're going to do the right and the left. And this was when we cut off 1/4 of an inch, so it should be 8 1/4 by 11 paper. Apparently you could do it without cutting off the 1/4. I don't know how I ended up making that right. Wow. That's hilarious. Albeit super cool. All right. Measurement. we have 2 3/4 by, I'll be darned, 2 3/4. 2 3/4. This is why it pays to measure. How do I want this? Do I want this to go sideways? Or do I want this to go up and down? I'm thinking up and down. So 2 3/4. Two and 3/4. And we should be able to get one more out of that. Looking good. All right, and these we don't have to worry about any kind of cutting down the line because we already did those 3, covered up our gap. So all we have to do is just add glue and pop them on. A little bit of glue all over there, up and down. Look how nice that turned out. Right, Susan Baker? Measure twice, cut once. Oh my gosh. Crafting is so much fun. Why worry? It's only paper. That looks really cool. All right, we got the top and the bottom and all the sides cut. Like I said, if you want to use colored cardstock, if you want to use double-sided paper or whatever so that it's not all white on the inside, you could totally do that. You can take the measurements of our squares and you can decorate the inside, but I'm not going to decorate the inside. I'm more all about what the outside looks like. Because the inside hopefully will have some kind of a treat like candy or a necklace or a gift card or something really cool. Maybe a handwritten note or a poem or a song or something that you can give somebody. I just think these are super cute. Now this one has a nice tight feel to it. So I don't feel like I would have to put a belly band on this. So that's like totally optional. Mine's staying completely closed. But I'm going to use some other stuff from this pack. And we're going to just keep decorating this one. We're almost out of time here. I hope you guys have fun with this and make your own. Because when I'm done here, I'm going to go ahead and put an album up at Quality Crafts. There were a whole bunch of other dies and things that I wanted to use tonight, but I really felt like it was more important to get the basics down of how to put this together and fold it and stuff correctly. The decorations are all about what you have in your stash and whatever, but if you look in the description box below, we have a list of suggested supplies. Now, I'm an Amazon affiliate, and I get a teeny tiny commission from things that are sold on Amazon that I recommend. So if you want to get what you've seen today or what we were planning on using or whatever, down in the description box below. Otherwise, use what you have in your stash and what you like to have. Go by your style. I mean, maybe you're shabby chic and this is not appealing to you. Maybe you have a little boy or a little girl in your family who really likes bugs and being outdoors, and this would be perfect for you. We did not list this one down there, so if you want to look this up, I don't know how old this paper pad is, but it's Jungle Bug Collection by Kaisercraft. So just in case you were interested in that, it's P as in Paul, P as in Paul, 822. PP822. I was going to go ahead and do flowers and stuff, but I think I'm going to stick to what's in here. There was this bug one. I think this is really cute. I want to use this. This is super cute. I want to put this one on the top. And actually it opens this way, so it would go this way. That is so cute! We could even do one of these too, couldn't we? Alright, let's add this one. Let's add this little bug. I'm gonna put a little hole in here. Where's my little red guy? There he is. You know, I'm gonna use my, that guy's nice, but I think I'll be able to see what I'm doing better with this one. There we go. Straight down so I can see where the hole is going. And it's right there. So I want to attach them. I'm going to grab a little brad quick. Hopefully I've got a nice neutral color that'll work with this. So let's see, brads. I think they're in here. Oh, there are a bunch in here. Nope, wrong one. I need to label these a little bit better than they are. Where did I move them to? Should have taken the first one right off the bat, eh? I got a whole bunch of them in here. So let's go with green, since that's right on the top. I'm gonna go with, I just want a little one, because these all come in different colors and different sizes. Put that guy in there. Yeah, he fits. Alrighty. And then this little guy moves on here. I think that's really cute. So I'm going to put him on there. And then we could cut out some of these and glue these on. I think this will be really fun. So we could do this one. That one. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut a couple of these out, and we'll put the finishing touches on this card before we say goodbye. We are almost to 6 o'clock. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's always so much more fun to craft with a community. People who love doing the same stuff that we love. And I will remind you that when I'm done here, I'll go over to Quality Crafts on Facebook. You're all welcome to come. It's drama and commitment free. I just had another lady ask in the group yesterday or today, do we have to swap? Absolutely not. Do we have to do the challenges? Absolutely not. You can either do or not do. You don't get penalized or punished for or kicked out for not doing things that we offer. Now, we offer things to keep your mojo going, to keep you excited about crafting and stuff, so we definitely want you hanging out there for that kind of thing. But never feel obligated to join in any of the other stuff. That's totally up to you. So we'll stick a few little leaves on here, finish it off. And now, even if you have to watch archived, with the chat being right there, it's still going to seem like you're watching it live. I just can't get over it. I'm really excited that they made that an option. It is amazing. So we're going to go ahead and put a little piece of pop-up on this side. Where is my pink scissors? I really don't want this to get all sticky. Well, they were here. Did my husband borrow them? Oh, there they are. Okay. So I'm only putting it on half because obviously this is going to open and I don't want that not to be able to open. Put it on here. There we go. And that way, when I open it, both sides can still open. But you see that all of our paper came together so that it looks like there's no gaps at all. We've got that little bug on there. I could put a little name on here or something, or a little to and from, and this little bug just swings around. Super cute! Norma says you can buy white or silver or gold brads and color them whatever color you need with alcohol markers. You can also dip your brads in Versamark and embossing powder and emboss them any color you want. That is super fun. All right, I'm gonna just grab these pages that I didn't quite finish using all of and tuck them back in my, actually I think I'm gonna put them right in the front so that I can use them again for another project if I'm looking for that piece. And here was another one that I had made ahead of time. Has little clips in there. I really like this one. I just think it's really, really fun. Thank you, Judy. So here are the measurements for the top and bottom squares, the front and back, and the right and left. If you do it by 8 1/4 by 11, which is what we did here today. So if you want to pause that, or if you're looking for it in the video, it's, does it say? It's 1 hour, 3 minutes in. So if that's what you're looking for, 1 hour, 3 minutes, you can find the measurements. And then, oh, and I also did this one for like a baby shower type of deal. Because there's a teacher at school that's about to have a baby, and these are so cute. And I thought maybe I would just put something fun in there. The belly band, I just went ahead and cut a piece of paper and then glued it together. And then I didn't have the dimensions for this bow. So I just went online and looked up any kind of free bow template. And then I printed it out and traced it, made a cut it, hand cut it, and then traced it on paper and created the bow myself. So the belly band is just, you just take a couple of pieces of paper and wrap them around. Let's see, do I have some? Let's take this one. I think this is 11 inch. I'll do 11 by 2 just to make sure. So if you take an 11-inch piece of paper, it doesn't matter how wide you make it, but if it's 11 inches around, you just take your piece of paper. See, it's going to be more than 11. That's why I pieced 2 together. So take your 11. Try to make sure that your open part is towards the top or the bottom. And then I just glued on another extra piece. I did 2 pieces. So you can see that there was a cut here and there's a cut here at the top. So I used 2 pieces and I just glued them together. And I did exactly what I did here. I just grabbed a piece and put it up. Grabbed a piece and put it up, and then I glued them together. So I think maybe, well, this is 11. If we did 12. If you've got 12 by 12 piece of paper, I believe a 12-inch one would make it all the way around. Whoa, Glenna. Holy cow. Was that a mistake? You should probably let me know if it is. Oh my goodness. Glenna, I don't even know what to say. Get a hold of me if that's a mistake. Wow, that's... Holy cow. Um, I'm floored. So I'm sure you guys can see the big pink box there. She used what's known as Super Chat, which is a little dollar bill sign underneath where you're typing your comment right next to the smiley. And she did a one-time donation of $50. Wow. Thank you so much, Glenna. I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. B, thank you for joining the group. Now, do you see how this one's not standing up? It's not as tight of a fit as the other one was. That's why I made the belly band. Glenna, that was so generous of you. Thank you so much. Whoa, Freedom said that Super Chat is now on iPad and phone. That's awesome. So this one stayed up too, and I did a tie band, but I didn't have to because you can see it's got a really super tight fit, so it's not coming apart. Same with this one. So I won't belly band this one. That was just because this one was swinging open. I think this one's the same size as this one is. Yeah, for some reason this one's a little bit bigger. I must have forgot to cut off the 1/4 of an inch. Joy. Joy says I can use a belly band. Oh my gosh, you guys are too much fun. So I do hope that you'll make one. I'm just going to remind you, I'm going to go over to Quality Crafts now, set up an album so that you can show us your makes, because I like to be inspired by what you guys make. Obviously, it's not going to look anything like what I have here. It's going to be using your creativity, your artist brain, and whatever you have stashed in your craft room too, right? Here's the measurements again. All right. So does anyone, Shelly Bean wants one too. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up on your way out if you really like this kind of video. If you are new and you don't know that we have another live video every Wednesday, I take an envelope that a subscriber has sent in. They just send in a few pieces of their scraps that they have laying around. I set a timer for 10 minutes and I make a card. I take it from mailbox to masterpiece in just 10 minutes using Ingenuity. But this was a Free Play Friday video. We did the easy to make clam box using only one sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, but we cut off a 1/4 of an inch. Don't forget about that. It is super easy. Just follow it step by step. If you need to go back through the tutorial twice, know that even people like me who I've been crafting forever, I always go through the video more than once. And sometimes I make the project 5, 6, 7 times if I'm still making mistakes. So never give up. And I can't wait to see you guys next video.